Good evening. What's going on there, guys? It is the Earthmaster here on the live stream with an update video on this Friday evening, October 22nd, 2021 to date, 5:30 p.m. California time, where we're expecting a pretty good storm system coming in to the west coast here tomorrow, lasting through about Tuesday. About 5 inches of rainfall expected for my region. 3.5 earthquake into the Pecos, Texas area. We've seen quite a bit of earthquake activity ramping up in this region over the last few months or so. That activity continuing today with that latest earthquake, a 3.5, right there on the earthquake 3D globe. Looking at the general activity throughout the beautiful planet that we live on in the flat scale model, you can see that 3.5. USGS has this listed near White's City, New Mexico, but this is in fact down in the Texas area near Pecos, just to the south, actually to the northwest of Pecos area. This region definitely seen quite a bit of earthquake movement within the last, like I said, few months. Looking at the last 30 days or so, the all magnitudes here shows and paints a pretty significant event of earthquake activity over the last 30 days. This is the all magnitudes map. You can see 232 earthquakes within the Pecos, Texas area, kind of stretching up towards the Midland and also Big Spring region. But most of the activity confined to the, right, like I said, just to the northwest in the region of the Pecos, Texas area. Not 100% certain the reason for this. I know there's some plate systems out here, or not plate systems, but fault systems in the region up against the Delaware Mountains area. But there's also a lot of hydrothermal type fracking operations and whatnot as well within this region. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. No doubt some pressure increases down there creating those earthquakes. Also up against the mountain ranges here in the Utah area. This region right here, seeing a little bit of movement. And also around the Cedar, Utah area. I'm watching kind of a swarm of activity there as well over the last 30 days. You can see a little bit of confined swarming activity going on around Cedar. And also, most recently, a little new one over here near Interstate 15, it looks like, right against the, what is that, the Wob Valley? Not 100% certain if that's how you pronounce it, but it is what it is. What do we got for the West Coast region? Pacific Northwest, awfully quiet. Look at that movement, lack of movement, I should say, into the Pacific Northwest region. Just very quiet. Not a whole lot of movement around the volcanoes. In fact, it seems like pretty much, well, Northern California is pretty absent of earthquake activity as well. Most of it confined south of the Sacramento area. A little bit of movement near Concord, small little microquake near Sobrante, and also down around the San Andreas fault system, the creeping section, seeing a couple small microquakes. Also the West Walker River fault zone up here around the Antelope Valley area. In this region, seeing some continued earthquake activity. And Mono Lake kind of quiet today as far as general movement goes. Long Valley supervolcano, though, seeing a little bit of uptick in earthquake activity over the last 24 hours, including a couple three-pointers. Earlier had a 3.4 kickoff near west-northwest of Tom's Place. Of course, Long Valley supervolcano is a pretty significant hazard to the Southern California region. This movement taking place, well, I can kind of say it's close to the caldera, really close to the Long Valley supervolcano area. But Lake Crawley is where this earthquake activity is taking place. 3.4 at 9 kilometers below surface. Pretty deep earthquake activity in this region. We did have a 3.5 also within the last 24 hours. That's kind of like the most recent earthquake. So can't be 100% certain that we may not see, that we might see, I should say, a little bit larger earthquake. Just hasn't been any definite defined quake with this swarming. It has been ongoing for a few days now in this area, just kind of ramping up today with those threes kicking off. Looking down south here towards the Ridgecrest, Owens Valley area, looks pretty clear. Ridgecrest, some movement in the fracture zones of the July 4th, July 5th sequence of earthquakes there in the Ridgecrest area. A little bit of movement up around the Coso volcanic range as well. Just some microquakes, but the swarming appears to be dying down from previous days up there. The Garlock fault structure, a little quiet, a couple small quarry blasts around that area. And also the San Jacinto fault area shown some movement as well today. Nothing significant. No major swarming taking place around the Salton Sea, although there is a line of activity stretching down from kind of towards the San Andreas fault zone, the southern end, to the Imperial fault. Just a couple small microquakes in a linear fashion up here, kicking off in that region. Let's see what else we got here. Looking at the map here, as we zoom up to the north, Montana Range, Idaho. I need a drink of water real quick. Idaho, getting in on some activity as well. The Sawtooth Fault System, pretty active today. Looks like a few earthquakes around the vicinity of that fault. Also up around the Hebgen Lake area, a few small microquakes in that area, and also some movement up here around the Montana region near Flathead Lake. See a little bit of small, these are very small quakes or earthquakes in this region. Just a couple of small microquakes around the fault systems up here. Looks like the Mission Fault, Flathead Lake section, showing a little bit of activity over the last 24 hours. Canada, at least from the USGS, shows pretty quiet activity for the moment up there. Alaska, all this activity, microquake activity, very typical for the Alaska region, just like California. We always see this general activity on any given day. So this is a major subduction zone here with the North American Pacific Plate. So this activity is expected inland, and a lot of it is deeper movement into the subduction zone, 70, 80 kilometers or more below the surface. That's very typical for that region. Quiet once again through the Aleutian Trench, the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, and also the Japan Trench, all very quiet. I mean, look at that. Lack of activity once again there in that region. Some movement over here. 5.4 near the, I'm not for sure exactly which, I've got the trench up here. Haven't really seen a whole lot of movement in this region. But that earthquake striking late last night, early this morning, 5.4. And the Philippines area near Manila looks like 4.5, 69 kilometers below the surface for that earthquake. Also a little bit of movement, deeper activity. Almost a 600 kilometer deep 4.3 earthquake near the Fiji. Actually, that's the 5.0 near Tonga. This one here, way down south of Fiji, 4.3, almost 600 kilometers deep. It's pretty significant deep movement here, but very typical, very normal in the way of deeper movement in that area. South America is kind of still quiet. I know last night it was very quiet, and we haven't really seen too much movement out here. Just 4.4, the largest earthquake into the subduction zone of the Peru-Chile Trench at 108 kilometers. Also the Puerto Rico Trench region, kind of diminishing activity as well. Just a couple 2s and 3s kicking off in the Puerto Rico area. The Mediterranean Sea region around the Sea of Crete looks like 4.3 and a 4.5 in that area of the world. Yellowstone, here's an overview of the Yellowstone thumbnails at Yellowstone National Park. You can see a couple small microquakes here in the northwest corner of the park. Those are indeed earthquakes, localized. And looks like another one right there. Some of these other smaller ones could be as well, but they're just not all that big to be picked up on all the other stations here. But just a couple small microquakes, nothing big going on there at Yellowstone National Park. The tremor map in the Pacific Northwest has not been updated, I don't think. Although it does show 1022. It shows 0 epicenters, so that's kind of a little odd. Most of the time this map updates at about 6 p.m. my time, so we still got about 20 minutes or so before 6 p.m. Pacific time here in California. So not for sure if this is going to be updated or not, but kind of an odd drop off because we've seen nothing but continuous epicenter tremor activity in the Cascadia range, Cascadia subduction zone over the last 5 weeks, and it just has completely dropped off if this is indeed the updated map. All right, folks, have a good night. Stay safe out there. It is Friday night, and we'll chat to you guys a little bit later. Peace out.